Everyone, welcome to the October 12th, 2022 regular Civil Service Commission meeting. Can we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Gazarian?
Yes.
Commissioner Abkarian?
Here.
Chair Haratunian?
Here.
For the record, Chair Astorian and Chair McCarley are absent.
Okay, thank you. What's next?
Minutes for the meeting of September 7, 2022.
Move to approve. Second.
There's no opposition, approved?
Yep.
Next item, please.
Oral communications.
Do we have any? None. Next item, please.
Recruitment and examination report.
Okay, Ms. Adams.
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, this is the regular recruitment and examination report, which represents the current recruitments in process and that our team is currently working on. You'll see that our staff is currently working on 89 different recruitments that are in various stages, and this report reflects those various stages. If the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. Otherwise, this is a note and file item.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Adams. Next item, please.
Eligible list established.
Ms. Adams.
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, the subject before the commission is the regular report that includes all of the eligible lists that were recently established since our last meeting. This report includes the total number of applications and the number of individuals that advanced through the various stages of our examination processes for said position. Since our last meeting, we have had a total of 7 lists that were established. 2 were open, 4 were promotional, and 1 was open and promotional. This is a note and file item. However, if the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
No.
No questions. Thank you so much. Next item.
Adoption of resolution, report on unclassified status, proposal for administrative associate, administrative analyst, caseworker 1, office services specialist 1, and youth services coordinator.
Thank you, Honorable. Ms. Adams, please.
Okay, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, the subject before the commission is a request to make 7 positions unclassified. If you recall, commissioners, this item was held over from our September 7th, 2022 meeting. Per Article 24 in our charter, positions are considered classified whereby after the working test period or their probationary period expires, the position becomes permanent and the person filling the position can only be removed with cause. Periodically, departments come before the commission and seek to make positions unclassified when the position will be temporary in nature, be for a limited duration, or be funded by a source other than the general fund, and the funding will be limited. Such is the case with the requests before you. There is 1 administrative associate in the Homeless Services section of the Community Services and Parks Department, where funding is from Emergency Solutions Grant, CARES Act program, and the Continuum of Care program funding by HUD. There are 6 other positions: an administrative associate, an analyst, 2 caseworkers, an office services specialist, and 1 youth services coordinator in the workforce development section, which provides Glendale, Burbank, La Cañada, Flint Ridge with free career services, youth employment programs, and local business employment services, where these salaries are also covered by grant funds. The city has in the past filled these roles with hourly workers who by their very nature were in unclassified and temporary positions. However, due to the amount of turnover, The department believes that by offering benefits, they will be able to retain staff longer for a longer duration, equivalent to the time it will take to expend the grant funds. Funding for the workforce development positions are being drawn from several grants, including Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, the County of Los Angeles, the South Bay Workforce Investment Board, the Employment Development Department, and the Department of Rehabilitation. The Glendale City Employees Association and the Glendale Management Association have been given the opportunity to review the request put forth, unclassifying the 7 positions using one-time grant funding sources, and have not expressed any concerns in going forward. Our Director for the Community Services and Parks Department, Onig Balunian, and our analyst, Ms. Navarro, they're both here and available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Questions?
No, I have observations, but I'll defer if any of you have questions.
You can go ahead and I'll ask mine after.
I note the following for the record, that the existing salaried classified administrative associate, administrative analyst, caseworker 1, office services specialist 1, and youth services coordinator positions, which are not funded through grants, will not be affected by this proposed action and will retain their civil service status and protections. I note that with great pleasure, and I further note that, as stated, the Glendale City Employees Association and the Glendale Management Association, while given an opportunity to review the proposal put forth as to the 7 positions which have now been stated to be unclassified using a one-time funding sources, have expressed no concerns as to such classification. And with those 2 notes and notations, at the appropriate time, I will be moving for a recommendation in favor.
Okay. Any more comments, Mr. Upper?
I don't have any issues with the unclassified status. I do have a problem of having them unclassified status for a period to exceed more than 24 months. So my recommendation would be that we would approve these items for a 24-month period, at which time, if it's necessary, a second request will be made, and at that point, we would evaluate why an extension of more than 24 months would be necessary to keep this positions unclassified.
Thank you, Mr. Abkarian. Sort of goes along the lines. The question that I have is, I don't know do we know how much this funding, this one-time funding is? And along the same lines, has anyone assessed how long will it last to fund these positions, which I guess relates to Mr. Abkarian's question too.
Good afternoon, Chair Hartoon and members of the Commission. Onig Balunian, Director of Community Services and Parks. It depends on the classification. The Admin Associate, HMIS, the Homeless Management Information System position, you're looking at 18 months to 2 years. There are different funding sources depending on what happens with the election on next month. We might receive additional funds that will allow us to employ the employee for 36 months. But with Commission Member Abkarian's recommendation of coming back to the Commission after 24 months of service, I think that will work for our department. A number of these positions are funded through grants, as Ms. Adams had mentioned. We're looking at 1 to 2 years funding for all these positions in workforce development. With the HMIS, we're looking at 18 months, the Admin Associate / HMIS.
Okay, so it looks like all these positions currently are funded from 18 months to 2 years.
Yes.
Okay, I think that answers my question, and I think that addresses your concern, which I share. And with that, perhaps we can,
I would like to make, with the chair's permission, a motion, if the motion is the right mechanism, otherwise a proposal, to approve the making of 2 administrative associate positions, 1 administrative analyst position, 2 caseworker 1 positions, 1 office services specialist 1 position, and 1 youth services coordinator position, unclassified for up to but not exceeding a period of 24 months as to these respective positions.
I second that.
thank you. I think this is, so this is a resolution.
It's a resolution,
Not-
so it's a motion to approve the resolution
Okay.
as stated.
Okay. Roll call?
Commissioner Gazarian?
Yes.
Commissioner Abkarian?
Yes.
Chair Hartunian?
Yes. Thank you. Next item, please.
Job bulletin for approval, Community Services Coordinator and Community Services Supervisor.
Ms. Adams, please.
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, the subject before the commission is a revision to 2 job bulletins, Community Services Coordinator and Community Services Supervisor, both presented for your consideration and approval to be promulgated to the public rather than be filled on a promotional-only basis. And that is because there are not enough internal applicants to meet the minimum bulletin requirements to have a full list from which to select the best qualified person. As with the previous item, our Director of Community Services and Parks is here, as well as staff from our HR office, to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gazarian?
Yes.
Commissioner Abkarian?
Yes.
Chair Hartunian?
Yes. Next item, please. Number 8, I believe.
Reports of unclassified salaried positions.
Thank you. Ms. Adams, please.
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, before you is an informational report on the status of unclassified salary positions in the city. Since the report was produced, there has been an update that I'd like to report. Staff was notified last evening by the Community Development Department Housing Section that the housing associate position identified in the unclassified report became vacant on October 10th, 2022. The employee has been hired in a classified housing advisor position. So now this leaves only 1 field position, caseworker, as of now in the Parks Department. By way of background, the commission asked for a report on unclassified positions in the city and the years of service the employees occupying such positions have. Today, there is 1 field position, and that person has been with the city since January 17th, 2021. There are 33 requests that have been approved by the commission since 2005, and those are identified on page 2 and 3 of the report. While many of those positions were once filled, today those employees have either separated from the city, been hired to fill classified positions, or the position has not been filled. There are also 7 apprenticeship programs where during the training for the journey level roles, the apprentice time that is covered in the unclassified scenario, many times the training is 18 months or longer, and the city has a 12-month maximum working test period or probationary period. So the only way to accommodate the apprenticeship time is to put those folks in unclassified roles. If the commission has any questions on this report or the apprenticeship program, we have staff here from the GWP, we have HR staff, and we would be happy to discuss further with you and receive any future direction the commission may have.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments?
I just have one question I wanted just to clarify. My request was to bring forward how many positions are currently unclassified that are filled by someone, and a date that that position was filled. So my understanding now is there's only 4 positions in the city of Glendale that are unclassified and filled, salaried employees, that are unclassified and filled by someone, correct? Only 4. Well, that's what it says. My request was, what is the position? How long has someone been in that position? And so the position, when they were hired, and how long they've been in that position. My understanding from the top position is that there's only 4 people. But if my reading, one of which is out, so there's only should be 3 people that are salaried, unclassified employees in the city of Glendale based on the report. If that's wrong, then this report is wrong, which is not what I asked for. I asked that, my question was, what is the position, unclassified employee? When were they hired? And when were they let go, if they were let go? If they're still in that position, I want to know when they were hired. So based on this report, it shows that there's only 4, of which 1 was already hired. So there should be only 3 employees that are considered in city of Glendale as unclassified salaried employees. Is that true?
May I?
Yes, sorry.
So that's incorrect, and if we worded the report incorrectly, we can correct it. There are 4 positions,
Correct.
of which 1 is filled today
Correct.
by a person who was hired on January 17th,
Correct.
2021.
Correct. So there's a total of 3. So in the entire city of Glendale, there's only 3 unclassified salaried employees. Yes or no? Somebody says no. Could you come up, please?
So,
Let me get that answered first, and then you can ask your question.
Even if it's not in this report, maybe in the process of putting this together, somebody actually looked into this and knows, even if it didn't make it to the report.
Okay, so do you have the report in front of you?
Yes.
And what's your name?
Naira Kopian?
Kopian. Mr. Kopian, the first part of the report, Commissioner Kazarian asked me, the first part of the report says what?
so there's 3, forgive me, Commissioner Apkaria, there are 3 columns before us. Do you see, the report has a background section, and there's 3 charts. One,
Yes.
and the second one that is on 2 pages, and then the last one that goes at the bottom of 3rd page and top of 4th page.
Yes.
So if we could take those one at a time, it would at least assist me in understanding it better. Is that okay with you,
Yeah, that's
Commissioner?
fine.
Thank you. So take a look at the first one, and we're trying to understand, I am trying to understand, as Commissioner Apkarian was asking the question, we see that there's a position and a date approved, September 9, 2020, in the left column. It's a caseworker, number of positions approved is 2. And then in the very right column, it has a date of January 17, 2021, to which Ms. Adams alluded, that's our most recent hire. Is that correct, Ms. Adams?
Yes.
That's the only
That's the only hire.
today.
Today. That's a hire of today. So if that is the case, does that mean that one of the 4, because there's two positions here, 9/9/2020, 6/12/2019, 2 positions each, one of which was hired on today? Are the other 3 vacant?
Yes.
They are vacant.
So, or initially, for example, caseworker 1, 2 positions were approved. However, today only 1 position is filled.
Is filled.
And that employee was hired January 17, 2021. The other employee, whoever was hired, has now been terminated or has left for whatever.
Is no longer employed. Okay.
The second position, in essence, is vacant.
Okay.
The same is for housing associate. 2 positions were approved. As of last night, we found out that both positions are vacant.
Are
Because
vacant.
the second, yes.
So there's only one salaried, unclassified employee in the entire city of Glendale, correct?
Yes,
As of last night?
yes.
Now, if something happened
the
this
Parks
morning,
Department.
that's different.
Okay, so that's confusing to me, Commissioner Upkarian, because when I look at the other columns,
Oh, except for the apprentices.
so when I look at the other ones, the other charts, right? I see that the paragraph leading into that chart, it says, the following table identifies all positions that were approved as unclassified since 2005. And it says there are no employees currently employed in these positions. Okay, so that means all these positions are vacant. To the
Yes.
extent they are unclassified, that's besides the point. They're not occupied by
Yes.
a person serving in that capacity. And then when I get to the last one, the last one has Glendale Water and Power and Glendale Police Department at the end of it, two different positions. And it speaks about another classification designated as unclassified as a police officer recruit. And it gives the reasoning as to rigorous nature of selection process, et cetera, et cetera. In August of 2012, and I seem to recall this because I was on this body at the time, the commission approved designating this classification as unclassified. But what I don't understand is, are those positions vacant? So the positions of within the Glendale Water and Power and the two positions within the police department, the operator trainee and the recruit, are those vacant or are those occupied?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, Amy Martin, Assistant Director of Human Resources. Commissioner Gazarian, the total number of classifications, unclassified salaried positions that we've identified that are currently filled reflect the classifications in that first column, caseworker 1 and housing associate. If I can just clarify, the second table references unclassified salaried positions that commission has approved over the years. However, those classifications are no longer active. They, at one point in time, were filled with individuals holding unclassified positions. Many of these positions were funded by the ARA grants back in the days. Those grants were depleted, ended, individuals moved on, positions were separated, etc. So that second table reflects classifications that were unclassified, deemed unclassified over the years, but currently are not active. The third table references the apprentice positions as well as the police communications operator trainee and police officer recruit. There are individuals occupying those classifications currently.
Okay, but those are unclassified positions.
Those are.
So, okay, so then I go back to Commissioner Upkarian's inquiry, and with that inquiry, we now know that in the first table, out of 4 positions, 1 is filled. And as to the if I may repeat, because I know you were distracted. So it appears that in the first table, out of the 4 positions, 1 is currently filled. That's 1 unclassified employee. And in the last table, all of the apprentice positions within Water and Power and the 2 positions within the police department are filled. But how many fill these positions? Would it be fair to say that 1 person fills each one of these positions, or more than 1? So in other words, for example, are there more than 1 police officer recruit? And I'm seeing somebody
Commissioner Gazarian,
nodding their head
I
in
would
the
have-
affirmative.
I would have to either get back to you with a total number or defer to the department representatives from GWP who can address how many
I
in
think what
the.
we should, my request would be.
I yield
Chair,
back.
mine? Yeah, thank you very much. My recommendation would be the following, because I want to expand the report a little bit more too, so we can just come back with a little bit more information. First, I appreciate the first part because that clarifies it, and thank you. Second, I want to have next time a motion to eliminate anything that has not been occupied for at least 2 years. So anything that has not been occupied for at least 2 years, those classification will be basically eliminated, no longer unclassified. So we're gonna, I would like to see a motion on that, or at least bring it in front of us to have for a motion to basically eliminate these positions. And if you decide to bring them back to have them unclassified again, then we can do that again. But something that's been unclassified, stayed inactive for more than 2 years, going back to 2009, does not need to be in the books.
If I may clarify, Commissioner Abkarian, these, for full disclosure, we wanted to include all the classifications that over the course of
No, I
years have
appreciate
been
that.
deemed unclassified by commission. However, the department would not be able to fill these positions if they wanted to today because these positions are inactive.
No, I understand that, but why don't we just go ahead and make them, just go ahead and eliminate them? And if a department decides, hey, we really need this to be unclassified, they'll bring it back in front of us and we'll unclassify them based on reasonable request. So I don't understand why it should be on the books with all these titles attached to them as unclassified.
But when you say on the books, what does it really mean?
Actually, forgive me, Commissioners, we need to pay a bit closer attention because some of these positions that we are being told are inactive or not occupied. In fact, at least one of them, the DNA specialist, has been declared classified as of 2014. So I don't think we can summarily.
We can then we can
right.
say that it's classified and move it into the classified position instead of having it inactive in the unclassified.
Right.
Listen, my issue was I came here almost 16, 17 years ago, and there were 42 positions that were unclassified salaried employees that have been there for over 10 years sometimes. And I couldn't believe it. So we actually eliminated a lot of them and put those employees as just salaried employees. If you're there more than 24 months on an unclassified position, you better be moved to a salaried classified position, period. It makes no sense to have an unclassified employee work in any position for 5 years. It makes no sense. So my issue is, if I would like to see why we can't eliminate some of these positions. And when I say eliminate them, take them out from the unclassified. And if you need it to be classified again, you come back and you ask us. And if it's reasonable, we should be able to unclassify them again. So I want to have a discussion on it.
So Commissioner Abkarian, from what I understand you, I think you're saying that which we're hearing, but we're hearing it differently. I heard, Ms. Martin, I think you stated.
We do take group answers too. Any way we can get the answers, we take them.
Yeah, I don't understand.
May I continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Martin, I believe you stated that even if you wanted to fill these positions, you would not be able to. Can you tell us why you wouldn't be able to?
Certainly. Commissioner Kazarian, these classifications, as an example, I'll use the classification of administrative analyst. By default, the classification of administrative analyst is a classified position, unless through commission action, a singular position through a resolution makes that one position unclassified. And as you can see over the course of years, that action has been taken for a variety of these classifications in table, that second table on pages 2 and 3 of the report. So if a department wanted to fill the position of administrative analyst, even in workforce services, which is where that position referenced in this table resided, and they submitted the necessary paperwork and requested to fill the position, by default, it would be a classified position.
So my concern is this. You gave one example, but I see several others here. For example, a deputy city attorney, a legal fellow, a homeless programs coordinator. All those positions are currently not filled. They've been dormant. They were previously declared as unclassified positions. And my question is, can any of them, without knowledge, consent, or input from this body, be now filled as unclassified?
The answer is no.
Okay.
And I've verified with our representatives from the Parks Department who are currently present that all of the parks positions were ended. They are inactive, and when we say inactive, they are not budgeted for, they are not on the books.
So if they're not on the books, I'd like to join Commissioner Upkarian's request. If we can, at a future time, with the chair's permission and Ms. Adams' collaboration, we can have an item be put on the agenda for us to resolve that these positions are no longer there in an unclassified or in any other setting other than if they exist in some classified form elsewhere.
Yep.
Certainly.
So that if a similar report is requested 6 months from now, they will not show up
Right.
here and will not generate
You
discussion.
don't
It'll
even
be
need to see
clear.
this once it's removed from the books.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah?
So if Commissioner Upkarian, continue with you were requesting something.
So that was one, so hopefully will come next time. How many people are occupying the other chart, the last chart, in each position? And I'm going to make one more request because I thought it would be included, but I guess being me didn't specify it. I would like to, go ahead. I'm
May I mention something about the last chart?
Yes.
Because this doesn't, in addition to how many people are occupying this position, it also doesn't specify the year.
What year they?
So unlike the others above, so can we have the years when they were classified and when these people started?
Actually, they're all unclassified. So how long have they been?
Sorry, unclassified, when the request was approved for not to be classified, just like the other charts have.
Date of, the same thing as the first chart.
Correct.
We can do that.
Just have the same dates indicated on that last chart too, along with how many people occupy these positions.
How hard is it going to be for us to get the same type of report for unclassified hourly employees that have worked in that position for more than 24 months?
How long? So unclassified hourly employees.
Unclassified hourly employees that have worked in that position for more than 24 months.
So the length of time they have worked in their unclassified hourly
Somebody who's been there
position.
for 4 years as an unclassified salaried employee,
Next
we would
meeting.
like to get a report on the next.
That's
Within
doable, the next
The
meeting.
next
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not asking you to do it now
Right,
because
next.
you didn't. But so unclassified hourly employees that have been in that position for more than 24 months.
If I can just clarify, does that include any unclassified hourly employees regardless of how many hours they've worked? in the
Any
24
unclassified employee that has been in that position as unclassified employee for more than 24 months on an hourly basis. I don't care how many hours they work. In fact, you can put the hours if you want.
Possible, yeah.
It-
You
I
put
think
date of hire,
it's relevant.
then hours, and
Sure.
if you think you need until December to do it, we postpone it to
Are
December.
are you
think
thinking about the seasonal employees, like the lifeguards, those kinds of, you want to speak to that, to them?
Thank you,
It's something different.
Ms. Varpetian. And the reason I asked that question is because we do have a lot of seasonal employees who work for a period of time, leave and return, or we have some hourly employees who remain active on the books, but they might not work for many months at a time. So I wanted to clarify if there was a certain threshold we were looking for in terms of the minimum number of hours for the report.
I mean, if the hours were indicated, if it's possible to indicate, it would alleviate a lot of our concerns, because if we see somebody has
If
been on
there's
the
a
books.
seasonal, maybe you want to eliminate the seasonal employees, the lifeguards, the seasonal employees, you can eliminate those.
Year-round
Then-
year-round employees.
employee,
Yeah.
Is something that I'm looking for. Somebody shouldn't hold a job as an unclassified hourly employee for, in my opinion, for more than 12 months, unless if it's a seasonal job or anything else. If somebody is holding that job for 8 years as a part-time hourly employee, then there's this major problem in the city, the way we classified employees. So I would like to see a report minus the seasonal, like lifeguards, like what we hire for summertime, I'm assuming, minus those that would say the job, the hours worked, the hire date, and then we can just kind of look at it and say, does this make any sense? Maybe we should turn them into salaried employees, or maybe we do something else. But just a very comprehensive report. I know it's gonna take a little while to get it, but that's something that I think is important.
We should be able to produce that next
Okay,
month.
perfect. Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
No, I think what you commented basically got to my, to the core of my request. But I think if you have no more questions,
No.
then I
Clear.
think. All right, thank you very much. Thank you everyone who participated in answering these questions.
Yeah.
Ms. Adams, thank you.
Collectively and
yes.
individually.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Reports, information.
Ms. Adams.
Okay, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, before you is an informational report on performance evaluations and the return status for the City of Glendale's employees. As you can see, the response rate is 99%, with less than 1% past due. If the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. Otherwise, this is a note and file item.
Any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
In looking at the chart, I'm trying to understand it. The number of evaluations past due as first notice appears to be 7. Is that accurate?
Actually, since we produced the report, 1 came in, so that number has been reduced by 1.
So it's 6. That's 6, which is made up of various departments each having 1, except for the fire department having 2, and I don't know if the one that came in is from the fire department. But my concern was, looking at a second notice, number of days past due, 72 days for the fire department. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Why is it 72 days?
Oftentimes, when we cannot do an evaluation, is due to a leave of absence of the employee and not having access to that employee.
Well, wouldn't
And
that be a special circumstance?
if they ask for it, the department must make a request to have it put in a special circumstance category. That's not automatic.
I got it.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know, I'm heartened because I was disheartened thinking that 72 people had their evaluations, delayed, but it's really 72 days for 2 people at most.
Right, and on the chart, the one that came in was from the fire department.
So there's only 1 person
Right.
whose evaluation has been delayed 72 days. Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
And the appearance that they were supposed to make in front of us wasn't that after the second notice, or was it after the third notice?
Actually, we changed that, Commissioner
second notice.
Abkarian, to the second notice. I remember that's why I looked to see if there was a representative from the department. Maybe the department representative, if they're still delayed the next month, they can be asked to come.
Yeah, but I mean, what we've made a request was, if you are a second notice, you need to show up.
Right.
And the fact that somebody from the fire just decided not to show up, in my opinion, is not appropriate, but it is what it is at some point. But I think that when the commission asks the department head to appear due to a second notice, they should at least appear and provide some kind of an explanation, unless if that department head was given the wrong information that they don't need to show up.
Right, so
Commissioner-
I have to take responsibility for that.
Okay.
I believe that the notice to the department head was after the third.
Used to be.
Used to be.
Yeah.
So that was a mistake on my part.
Okay, I appreciate it.
And
Thank
then
you very
also that we have a new fire chief, so he probably
That's
didn't
the
know the
other,
process
that's
as
the
well.
other probably legitimate
Yeah.
cause, because I remember there's a change in leadership.
Right, the new fire chief took office on September 19th.
Okay, just for future purposes, it's the second notice,
Understood.
just so we're all on the same page. Okay,
All right, thank you. Next item.
So
Cool.
Service Commission, staff comments.
Any comments?
No.
I just want to continue on, just quickly. I don't think I've had a chance to meet our new fire chief yet, but I officially want to welcome him, extend our welcome from this body and myself to Chief Ernst, and wish him all the best in his service. And we look forward to working with him and his department. And I've had a chance to wish my congratulations and well wishes to our outgoing retiring police chief, and I wanted to reiterate it again today and thank him again for many years of service and congratulate him, Chief Pavlidis, and wish him well.
I join the chair in both of these sentiments. Thank you, Chair, for making them.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Do we now, next item, please?
Closed session.
Closed session.
Could you read in the record?
Reinstatement of electrical line mechanic and public employee hearing.
Thank you.
So, Chair Hartunian, we will now turn off the cameras. I believe we will report out on the first one, but likely not on the second one.
We will.
We will report out on both, okay, but it'll not be on camera. And so at this time, we will ask the GTV6 to turn off. We will ask those who are not